Mondi, I think, was very lucky that we were one of the pilots of the system, and we had WRI to hold our hand right the way through the process. Now, I won't waste any time on the formalities. Eva's taken you through the various points. Mondi is one of the largest packaging and paper companies well, globally. We're about number 9. Very large in Europe. We have areas in South Africa and Russia. The pilot study is, and what we have is plantation forestry. This was one of the big concerns, so that was where the pilot area was. Now, just to give you an idea, Mondi is obviously was aware we rely on ecosystems for our forests, and we had already been quite advanced in understanding how important the wetland ecosystems were. And this little slide just shows you one of the areas that we had. It was under agriculture for 100 years, dried and drained. And as part of our restoration and identification of these systems, this is what happened a year after closing up the drain. So it just gives you an idea that Mondi wasn't green about the process, but what the process did give us was a very structured and formalized approach, and I think that was really the main benefit. Just let me catch up there. So the first thing was to select the scope, and as we are running short of time, I'll just go straight on with that. Mondi decided to use 3 regions just to see if we could pick up trends or differences, and it was very valuable. It was in the Shanduka, Sea of Kobeka, and Tiger's Kloof area. And these were the 3 pilot areas that we studied. Just to give you an idea, it ranged from subtropical to temperate. So it gave us a very good indication of what was happening, looking at our plantation areas. The second thing is to identify the priority ecosystem services. With the help of WRI and the structured process, we ended up looking at really 6 that stood out. We did expect water, and we certainly, one of the objectives of the Ecosystem Services Review was to confirm our understanding that water and water scarcity was a really big issue. In most of the catchments in South Africa, they have been over-allocated, and this poses problems for the future. So certainly Freshwater came up as a very strong candidate, but surprisingly enough, we also got some key pointers on recreation, ecotourism, and biomass. Then, looking at analyzing the trends in priority services, we found the approach, again, this whole structured approach, but probably one of the most valuable things out of the whole ESR was this expert panel that was consulted. And this was a wide range from universities to expert ecosystem people. And, of course, this gave the whole process a very robust feel of it. And secondly, it also surprised us in certainly one of the findings, which I'll come to a bit later. Freshwater. Then what's happened to that slide? There we go. Okay, so we've still got the old slides in here. Right, as I said, 6 of the 7 catchments were over-allocated. And of course, this was a real problem, and it was certainly emphasized in the whole process. And this just gives you the trends analysis from the ESR, and how you go about actually identifying and prioritizing these systems. Then to identify the risks and opportunities, Freshwater obviously came out very strongly. What the surprise to us was how strongly the external stakeholders and the experts felt about the problem of invasive species on Mondi's area. This was a threat, obviously serious threat in terms of water use, because it uses as much water as commercial plantations. And secondly was the biodiversity aspect. So this was really a very useful element that came out, emphasizing, of course, this whole priority of water. From this, then, we developed a strategy. And just to give you an indication, the big focus of Mondi initially, of course, was on water and on the invasive species, and you can get an idea of what it looks like before and after, and how these can knock out biodiversity and really use a lot of water. Following on from the ESR, identifying water, we have delineated most of the wetlands and removed our commercial trees from there. Not as a result of the ESR, but it had been in process. What we'd like to show you here is, again, just how much effort is required once we recognize the real importance of the freshwater ecosystem, was the state of the wetlands. And this little picture just gives you a coverage of the 4 regions, 3 of them which were pilot studies, and the key wetlands. Now remember, the history is some of these are drained by agriculture for over 100 years. They were under sugarcane, and also some very poor initial forestry where everything was planted through. So if you look at it, we'd love to see little green smiley faces everywhere, but it's giving us an idea of the huge improvement that is possible if you start addressing and understanding your impact and your dependence on these systems. One of the other things identified was external. The irrigators and neighbors have very inefficient use of water, and they are the major water users. So there are opportunities that were identified for Mondi to help them bring about savings which can be translated into new forestation. The ecotourism potential was obviously identified, and in Quebec, this borders the World Heritage Site, and what it did do was confirm all the key services identified by the ESR. And right now, this picture was taken only 2 weeks ago. By understanding and recognizing these key ecosystem services, the main one on Quebec was feeding a World Heritage Site, the Lake St. Lucia. So all the wetlands there and the corridors were opened up, and what it has done is confirmed once again the priority of fresh water, but secondly is the importance of ecotourism, and you can certainly see the potential from there. Right, just on the last slide, this is what we prioritized. I've spoken about how we've already addressed a lot of the water issues. What we have failed to do is capitalize on some of the new markets for bioenergies and biofuels, but this will take place when we have resources.